Hey, Obey, we got our week 2 reflection. This week we're going to be talking about obedience in action, and we're starting out of John chapter 9. As he passed by, he saw a man blind from birth, and his disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered, "It was not this man sinned, or his parents, but that the works of God might be displayed in him. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." Having said these things, he spit on the ground and made mud with the saliva. Then he anointed the man's eyes with mud and said to him, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing.
Awesome. I love this miracle. I think it's so radical. Like, this isn't somebody who's lost their eyesight. This is somebody who was born without sight, has never seen anything, has only really ever experienced the world through sound, smell, touch, has never seen anything. And Jesus just happens to walk by him. I'd like to think about how strange this situation would have been. Like, you're a blind beggar, you've never seen, your eyes have never worked. You're sitting on the side of a street and you hear this, you maybe overhear this conversation of these 3 people talking about you. And then you hear somebody spit on the ground or whatever, and all of a sudden something's being rubbed on your eyes and you're being told to go wash in this pool. Well, I'm blind. I guess I'll find my way there. I'll stumble my way through it. It would have made no sense. Like, it would have made no sense to this guy what was happening or even what he was being told to do. And I think it's like that for us often. I think that what we're asked to do doesn't make sense. But when we respond to that call for obedience in faith, we get clarity on the other side. And what happens to this man? On the other side of his obedience to where he was sent, the pool of sent, his sight is restored.
The reward was life-changing. And massively life-changing.
Massively life-changing. The disciples are looking for a rational, moral reason for why this man is in the state that he's in. Was it he that sinned, or was it his parents that sinned that caused this calamity or this negative circumstance in his life?
We ask those things. Why did this happen? And the reason we ask it is so we can control the outcome next time. Mm-hmm. Why did this happen? Because I'm going to make sure to avoid it in the future. And sometimes things are just that the works of God might be displayed. And we don't always get a reason, and especially up front in real time, we don't always get a reason. Then we can go back to a promise given to us from Romans 8, verse 28, which says, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose." If we believe that, so our obedience is out of faith, because we know that our Heavenly Father, that all things will work together for good. And it doesn't always make sense. Just like this guy's instructions to go and put mud on, like Jesus put mud on his eyes and then he had to go to the water to wash his eyes. That's not a normal way for someone to act with blindness. Like, that's not, yeah. But he did it. And sometimes God asks us to do things that don't quite make sense. And we have to, as we flex that muscle of faith, learning to follow the voice of God, even when we don't have all the answers, when we don't have, when we just don't know what the outcomes are going to be.
Yeah,
that's that muscle that we're working on here is to almost follow blindly. Mm-hmm. That's what this guy did.
Right.
So he followed blindly the instructions in hope that something would change in his circumstances. And that's the faith that, like, I think he obeyed the instruction out of faith, because he didn't know what was going to happen when he went to wash that. But he obeyed the instruction out of faith with an expectation that something good was going to happen.
Yeah, I love that. I love that framing, and I think it brings clarity to me. Like, when the disciples asked who sinned that this man would be born blind, was it him that sinned, or was it his parents that sinned? That sort of rationalization of our circumstances leads to an obedience out of fear. And obedience out of fear, the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. So it's the first step towards waking up to our circumstances, waking up to our role in the world. But I think Jesus is expanding it here and saying, beyond fear, there is faith. And so obedience out of faith is, I think, what you're talking about. It's like obedience out of fear is, I better not do this, otherwise
Why did that car accident happen? He was going over the speed limit. Okay, so then we use the fear of a car accident to basically obey the rules. That's not what, like, that's one level of obedience. But there's a whole other level of surrender that God's calling us to, that we're obeying out of, we're following his voice out of faith, knowing that we trust our Father.
Imagine if he hadn't responded to Jesus's instruction. You're blind, you can't see anything. Now somebody's rubbed spitty mud in your eyes and told you to go do something, and you don't do it. That, like, there's a circumstance that, thank God for his glory, it didn't play out this way, but that's conceivable that person just gets mad that somebody spit in their eye and just continues to sit there. And I do think about sometimes the instructions that we hear, they might make no sense, as they probably made no sense to this guy who's never seen anything in his life. But if you just sit there after the instruction that you receive and don't respond to it, your circumstances are worse. You're not just blind, you're got blind with spitty mud in your eyes. It's through a response that the clarity is achieved. That
Jesus healed him, but it was his obedience that
fulfilled it.
That let him reap the rewards of it.
Yeah, and I think that is oftentimes, as men and leaders, we can find ourselves stalling out on the next action that we're supposed to take, the place that we have been sent to, and then wondering why circumstances aren't great elsewhere in our lives. And I think that the call to obedience, active obedience, is this like pursuit beyond moral, beyond good behavior, to an actual tuning in and listening to what the Spirit is instructing for us to do, and then responding to it in the full knowledge that God's grace is going to fill in the gap the whole way.
Yeah, that's a great challenge.
So our reflection questions for week 2 are this. Number 1, what was the last instruction that God gave you? And number 2, what's the next thing that you can do to be obedient to it? Looking forward to another great week. God bless you, and we'll see you on Tuesday.